In this video, we're going to be talking about the 1977 film Looking for Mr. Goodbar, directed and written by Richard Brooks, which starred Diane Keaton. Or Coffee with Aliens at the Movies, a film education and film review channel. My name is Robert Bellissimo. I'm an actor and acting teacher.
I'm Steve Chambers. I'm an actor and writer. We're super happy to be joined by our correspondent, Vanessa Buttino, who you can find her blog at superveebs.com. So welcome, Vanessa, and thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for joining us for this one.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah. So it's funny, I found this film a long time ago strictly because I was pretty young and I was going through, I'd seen Pretty Woman. I was like, what did Richard Gere do young? And so I was finding all these like early films of his. And on VHS, I found Looking for Mr. Goodbar. So I'd watched it, I think I was a teenager, and I watched it for Richard Gere. And I remember like thinking, yeah, all right, he's a bit much. He's got that kind of Paul Newman as Rocky Graziano. Hey, yeah. Like, I'm like, all right. But it worked, but it was still a caricature. And then like Tom Berenger, who I do like, was good with, I guess with what he was given, but also kind of a caricature. It was just kind of weird. But anyway, I watched it really for Richard Gere. I read something Roger Ebert said, and this always stuck in my mind. And I've memorized, I'm paraphrasing it, I'm sure. But he said, it seems that the point of this film may be saying that careful ladies, being independent, doing what you want, could land you in trouble. Sort of you get what you deserve, you promiscuous young ladies, stay at home. And I was like, yeah, maybe, yeah, is that what it's saying? Oh man, intentionally? I don't know. So anyway, with all that, and now I'm sort of conflicted. I just watched it again 2 days ago. I'm like, I don't know what to think of this. So we shall ask Vanessa, you said to us, I've got some thoughts. Please, what are some of your thoughts?
Okay, right off the bat, what Roger Ebert said is 100% accurate. This film, like for the first 85% of the film, it just seems really routine. Like you're watching a movie about a young woman who's coming of age, and she's exploring her sexuality. She's exploring what it is to live on her own in a big city without her overbearing parents always coming down on her. But then the last scene of the film just totally comes out of left field. It's like a slap in the face. And that made me fucking angry. Because like what Roger Ebert said, and I mean, I'm a woman. I grew up being taught, never talk to strangers, never, if a car comes up to you and you're walking home on the sidewalk, if a car drives up to you, never approach the car, especially if there's a guy in it. Never give out your home address. Always be home by a certain time. And you know what? I very much doubt that boys are taught the same thing. Yeah, fine, never talk to strangers. Yeah. But growing up as a young girl, we were constantly taught that if we made even one little mistake, something terrible would happen. And that's exactly what happens in this film. You have a woman. She's not even being promiscuous. She's just exploring what it is to be a young woman in, I think it's New York, finally free of her parents, living on her own. She's living her life. She's not being promiscuous. Yes, she's sleeping with different men, but guys do that all the time. And then, you know what? She gets punished for doing that in the end. And that made me extremely angry. Really angry, because if this had been a guy doing that, that ending wouldn't have happened.
No, that wouldn't have. And well said. Up until just toward the end, there's no indication that it's going to end as a slasher movie, like at all. Okay, she meets different types of guys, but that's about it.
There was and I didn't consider this until after the movie had finished. Remember when she was, I think it was the first time she slept with Richard Gere's character.
Okay.
And something like a switchblade.
Oh, the glow in the dark
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and she thought it was a knife until he opened it up and it was like a glow in the dark flashlight or lightsaber or whatever.
And then did his little dance.
So yes. So there was some foreshadowing.
Yeah,
Because
fair enough. Fair enough.
like, just what's going to happen here? She thought that was a knife. I wonder if that's going to play out in any way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. But yeah, you don't know that ending is coming at all.
I think that it definitely does lean that way. It's funny because when I watched it, I've seen this like 4 or 5 times. When I watched it last night, that is how it left me. What you said, Vanessa, like it's like a cautionary tale. But then on the other hand, do either of you think that because her father was this cold, tough, lecturer, like that, and he compares her to Tuesday Wells' sister, like, well, you're not as good as Catherine. Meanwhile, Catherine, the father doesn't know, has had like 2 abortions,
Right.
and then got married to a stranger, and then when she gets divorced, he's like, well, it wasn't in a Catholic church, so it's all good.
Right.
And it's like, meanwhile, you're like so hard on Diane Keaton, yet you're not hard on. So I wonder if she was, leaving was an act of rebellion, and like, if I'm gonna go out and sleep with men, it shouldn't be. Why should I have to be so worried about getting killed? I mean, do you think that could be part of this, like that this is more of the men's problems as opposed to a cautionary tale of don't go out?
I think it's a good mixture of both. I think, okay, so this film came out in, I think it was 1977.
Yes.
Yeah.
And birth control was still relatively new. Didn't birth control for women start coming out a lot in the 60s?
Yeah.
Mid to late 60s. So in 77, birth control was still quite new to a large number of females, especially Catholics. I mean, I grew up Catholic.
Right.
So did I. Yeah, like I think we all did.
So, birth control was a very taboo subject. So, I think it's both a cautionary tale and a tale of maybe men coming to terms with the freedom that females wanted to pursue at that particular time. Yeah. But this is interesting. When I looked up this movie, apparently it's based on a true story.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So, I mean, this actually happened, which makes me even more angry that crimes like this are still happening to women.
Easy to blame the women in this case. Oh, well, what are you doing drugs, going out? Like, okay, wait a minute. Richard Gere, the fact that he gets rejected makes him angry, makes him violent, makes him stalk her, makes him threaten her, scare her. And then same with Berenger. As soon as she tells him to leave, he flips.
Well, Berenger's characters, there's what's going on with that guy?
Well, that's that whole like he is clearly a gay, and he's
gay man.
He even says to Richard Bright, "I'm a shooter, not a catcher."
Right.
It's like whatever. I'm just happen to have sex with men, but I'm not gay, right? That's like tough, macho-ness or whatever. But see, I always kind of lean that way with this movie, and then the other night I was like, I don't know if it's purely a cautionary tale. I know a lot of critics thought that then. It was also a big commercial hit, and a lot of people praise Diane Keaton, and I agree.
She's great.
She's amazing, and I love her. And what a range. I mean, she's innocent in this. She's charming. She's very sexy. She's a good teacher. She's loving. She's kind.
She's a human.
She's human, right? She's got these great scenes with the father and with Richard Gere where she really gives them hell, right? Like,
I love it.
She's tough, right? She's smart. I think a lot of critics back then were saying that's what really saved it. Otherwise, they think that it would have totally been panned. And that was another reason why I kept going back to this, was just to really see Diane Keaton. I never felt that Berenger or Gere was cartoonish, Steve. I do.
I can't help it. I'm not saying I'm right.
They're those kind of guys. Like I've met guys, not so
Are
much.
they like that big? Really? I haven't met.
Oh yeah.
They're
Oh
with
God,
the boxing. Yeah. I'm like,
Look,
that's a Fred Flintstone
look,
cartoon, man.
look, go to Vaughn where Vanessa is right now, and go go out to.
No, I know the guys you're talking about.
Royal York and Eglinton.
Okay, maybe they're.
Rose Bakery as we speak with some guy. Throw a soccer ball in the middle of some guys. They'll start with the keep ups.
I went to high school with those guys.
So did I. I was one of those guys.
Watching Richard Gere in this movie, like at first I had Steve's reaction. I was like, okay, dude, settle down. Like take it down a notch. You can't be on that much speed.
But those guys are like that.
But then, yeah, as the movie was going on and you saw him more and more, it's like, oh my God, I totally remember being around guys like that.
Oh, me too. They put on huge fronts, huge.
Yes.
It's like come in, and he's everything he's tapping.
Oh,
and
it's
she
so
mentions you're always doing.
It's just maybe because it's Richard Gere and he does like. I'm not saying those guys don't exist, 100%. I just, for me, he's watchable. Like that is a movie star, 100%. But for my money, Gere, not until he did American Gigolo, he suits the stoic thing. Like he's much more reserved. He's good at that.
Yeah, he's much more suave.
Yeah.
Or Officer and a Gentleman. Or if you ever see the remake of Breathless, like he's big, but there's something like fun. I don't know. It was just in this movie. I think it was perhaps in contrast to Diane Keaton. I'm like, what the movie are you in? But fair enough. I still find
she goes into those worlds, right? Like her world at school and her world at home and her world. It is like 3 different movies. Like she's going into.
Oh yeah.
Different people, you know.
And that's well done. Especially my favorite thing about the film is the school scenes. I love her as the teacher. I buy it.
Yeah, they're very sweet.
I love LeVar Burton as the older brother of the little girl who she's trying to help via William Atherton.
Oh yeah.
William Atherton, I thought was amazing. I found him really interesting.
Tuesday Weld too. I mean,
Tuesday Weld's great. Like I forgot
great.
that was like
mother. If it didn't have strong performances, no one would be talking about it.
No, this doesn't work at all. It's one note.
Yeah, and I also didn't think Berenger was cartoonish. I thought he was so.
I did. It was too much information too soon about this confused guy. No, I don't think they did a guy with that kind of complex problems any service, because listen, a movie has the right to make fun of whatever you want, do whatever you want. Because 1977 isn't, in some ways it's a long time ago, in some ways it isn't. And I just felt like, I don't know, like I get what we're saying about Berenger, obviously, because there's nothing subtle about it. I'm not blaming Berenger though. I think I said at the beginning, I said, given the material he had, he did a good job. And I mean that. I think my problem was the writing, not in the script per se, but with the Berenger, that climax. It was so on the nose. It felt like a really dark Saturday Night Live sketch about here's the caricature of a repressed homosexual who went to jail. And that's probably what made him gay. Like it felt kind of hateful, to tell you the truth. That's what I felt. But with the material, I think Berenger did a fucking amazing job. But it was
what did you think, Vanessa, of that character?
I agree with Steve. I think it was too much too soon, or not even too much too soon, too much too late. Like, really, this character just comes out of left field all of a sudden, and you only learn that he's homosexual because he has that maybe 1 or 2 scenes with his partner, his male partner. Yeah. Otherwise, like nothing else is explained about this guy. There's no backstory on him at all. And then for him to be the one to totally turn this film around, I almost feel like, what happened here? Did the writers give up? So I have to agree with Steve.
No, but that's what it feels like. It's like they rushed this guy's story and made him this kind of awful stereotype just so he could murder, like explain why he had to murder this girl. And I'm like, oh, that's bull. I call 100%. Bullshit on that last bit of the movie.
It looked like it was going to be Gere that was going to do something like that, and I understand that would have been, but I don't know, because for me, I mean, when you hear about women getting raped and killed, they don't know these guys. They're often walking down the street. Not always. Like sometimes it's like, they're in maybe I've been stalked or domestic abuse relationships, and it led up to this. Very much like with gear, but often, I mean, am I wrong in saying often these things are out of left field? I mean, what else did you need to know about that guy? He clearly was. He first of all, you see him and he's fighting on the streets with a wig. You don't know what the fuck is going on, and then he's smacking Richard Bright around, and he is. What really sets him off is when she says, "What do you have to prove?" And that's the thing, like, "Oh, I have to prove I'm straight to you," and that's what I don't know. I thought it was a nice. But I didn't think you needed to know anything else. I think those incidents do come out of left field.
If you're gonna do left field, then have literally a guy come out and do it out of left field.
I agree more with Steve, but Rob, I also see your point as well. It has everything to do with the person watching the film and how they interpret it.
Fair enough.
This is a great example of how when you have multiple people watching the same film, each person can come out of that experience thinking something totally different than the others. So I don't think anyone's right and I don't think anyone's wrong. I think it's all.
Neither do I.
Yeah. Just but for me, I just was extremely angry.
Yeah, no, me too. I mean, that last scene is unbearable. And that's exactly like the guy, but really the true story is that the guy did that. He stabbed her like 18 times, which you see just repeatedly. But for me, I like that you couldn't get ahead of it. It looked like it was going to be gear. And then, that's often what I say of movies I like is that the ones you can't get ahead of. Like most movies, you
Fair enough.
Familiar with it. Okay, gears building up that motivation. So I like that all of a sudden it went this way and it gave that guy a clear reason as to why he did it. Not that I agree with it, but it makes the audience understand.
No, you're not wrong. I got something wildly different when I saw this at 18, and then again at 23, and then again now. Like it's a different movie.
It's very thought provoking. Every time you.
And it is. It's still odd to me watching it in just the aesthetic, the sort of very old movie studio looking thing for a 70s.
I didn't feel that at all. I
really?
felt like it was right on the streets. Well, I always thought it was New York.
Actually, it looked like Sesame Street.
Yeah.
No, I didn't think it did at all.
Really?
I thought, well, everything from the lighting to the dark shots to I thought it was a New York film.
Really?
Yeah, but it's San Francisco. It's San Fran.
It's
I didn't feel that it was stagey. Well, what seemed stagey to you two? Like what seemed that way?
All of it for me.
It was a house. It was a real house. It was a real apartment. It was a real club. A real school.
I don't think any. I think the school might have been real, but the house, club, whatever else you said, nope. And the outdoors where she's walking, nope. That to me looked like Sesame Street.
Yeah, I agree. Every shot of her.
We're watching the same movie, folks.
every shot of her walking down her front steps to get a taxi just looks it looked like MGM's back lot.
Yeah, I gotta watch it again. I've only seen it twice this year and I never picked up on that.
The school looked legit. But not her townhouse or apartment building. No, the club. Yeah, the club
looked good. Club looked good.
You know what really stood out to me with this movie? The soundtrack. I think the soundtrack.
Oh, I love.
That's
I was gonna look it up.
Did you guys hear this? Wait, that's so interesting. You say that, so I forgot. And Vanessa, both of you just said it. I was watching this, like I say, 2 days ago, and I was shocked at the amount. And I do this like when we watch TV because I know how music and film works and like the cost. And so watching Goodbar, I was like, how did they afford all these songs?
Yeah.
Turns out that's why there's no release of it, because no one can afford the licensing to you'd have to lose all that music or replace it or do something. One of the reasons that Goodbar is nowhere to be found is no one cares enough to put in the money, because it's not like, if it's a giant, like, I don't know, whatever, James Bond or something, they know they'll make money back. Oh yeah, we'll pay for Led Zeppelin or whatever in this film. But because Goodbar is not, it was commercially successful 43 years ago, but now I guess not. many people really know it, not outside like film people. So yeah, that's a reason. It's exactly because it's got such a killer soundtrack. People are like,
I
we
didn't
can't
know that.
afford all this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, every song is a hit.
I don't know if the two of you read. I was also going to ask both of you. Now, this would have, I think, made the film better. Was in because the book. What happened? The book is the woman in the book is that she is attracted to danger, the risk of getting killed.
That's right.
Which you don't see, and that would have made more sense.
I agree. I read that
yeah,
too.
Because especially at the end, the fact that she doesn't see that scene with Berger, like what she sees is that he seems like a nice guy, But in the book, she sees that he's dangerous and deranged and still goes with him. So all the escapade, she only slept with a few guys in the movie. I mean, it's not what people make it seem, but is that she is very attracted to danger, to the threat of getting killed, that she had a borderline personality disorder, which here, it's true. This woman is so smart. She already had a danger with a guy she met. And that's where the cautionary tale, which I don't agree with, like does kind of come in. Well, what are you saying? That it's her fault? Like, what do you think, Vanessa, that would have worked better?
Question.
In terms of the if it was more that she was attracted to men who were dangerous and could kill her?
Was the book written by a male or female?
Good question.
A woman.
It was written by
it was. Oh.
Yeah,
wow.
And she hated the movie because they took that out.
Well, that sounds like a huge thing to take out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that because not me personally, but there are some women who are attracted to the bad boy or danger. But I mean, to a certain extent, if you know someone's a serial killer, I don't think that's going to attract you. But I think that should have been kept in the film. I think that would have made it a lot more interesting, and maybe
I agree.
The ending would have been maybe a little bit more acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she was too smart to
I agree.
One thing to be going out and there's nothing wrong with having one night stands or whatever, having sex right after you meet a guy or whatever. But I think she, especially after almost getting killed by threatened with I think she was too smart to pick up another guy that soon, unless she was just again like, hey, it's freedom and women liberation and fuck you to my dad. And I don't think she'd be that naive though. I don't know. Vanessa, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't quite sit well. Another thing, I don't know if this was the book, but the woman is also was meant to be not very attractive. That it was like she thought that this was all she could get, was like, Johns and these loser types, because like Diane Keaton was really pretty, so it's like the woman was supposed to be like very insecure because of the way she looked. Now, do you guys think that would have worked better?
There was an element of that though, because she had scoliosis as a child. Remember, she was so self-conscious about that big scar on her back.
Yeah.
Yes,
there
right.
were a few scenes in the film where she didn't want her partner to look at that scar. So she was very insecure about that.
Mm-hmm.
So that I think played into the movie like it did in the book as well.
Yeah, and she also, when she's having a bath, and that guy that she was like, who her father loved, and that's why she didn't like him, right?
Yeah,
I'm not gonna be with you because my dad loved you. You're perfect. I thought that was interesting. I like that relationship with the scenes with them. And just lastly, what comes through more to you, Vanessa? Like a woman cautionary tale about going out with men or you're gonna get killed, or like what's wrong with men that they're doing this, that they're violent, that they're killing women over being rejected? I mean, which one do you think comes through more?
The second. Like, what's wrong with men? Come on, man. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like I said at the beginning, this movie would have never happened had it been a male protagonist in the main role. And I'm so sick and tired of hearing people say to women, oh, you shouldn't do this because this could happen. Like, God damn it, it's 2020, for goodness sake, you know?
I think more people, especially at the time, took it as the cautionary tale. Like, well, what are you saying? I think now, from a 2020 lens, we can start to look at it like, hey, why are you like violent, or why are you, you know?
Yeah, turn it around. Turn it around. Like, why is this the woman's problem when really it's a man's problem here?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. What is Steve? What about you? Which point of
I
view?
think 100% what Vanessa just said. 100%. 100%. I think that's better how she said that than I could have.
Well, that makes me wonder what Richard Brooks, I mean, was he playing with both sides? He also interviewed 600 women before he wrote the script.
Wow.
You have to understand, though, he was talking to these women in the 70s when some women literally believed that it was their fault if
that's a good point.
Or sexually assaulted.
She's right.
The majority of the women he spoke to literally probably believed that they were to blame if something
like, well, what did Diane Keaton's character think was going to happen? That's a good point.
And you can, as we said, you can only watch this on YouTube. There's a free link to it that someone taped, God knows when, on TV.
Oh, it's off. Yeah, no, it's off. Is it off TV or?
Yeah, because you can see like.
It's got the little whatever at the bottom.
You know, like whatever that menu pops up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the only place you can find it.
Or on VHS.
Yeah, that's how I originally saw it.
Same here.
Our library system here used to have it, but they don't now. I don't, I guess it was lost.
Yeah, I found it at a video store.
Yeah, but that's about it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Vanessa, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm happy you guys asked me to watch this with you. So thanks. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks so much. And thank you everyone for watching. Again, if this is your first time here, or if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to our channel by clicking on the Coffee with Aliens logo to my top right here, and then click the bell to get notifications every time we go live or release a new video. Thank you so much. We will see you again.